love it. And in the winter.
So we are ready to start our featured reader section. Super excited for our readers this month. We're always excited, but you know, I say this every time. Like super excited.
Yeah, we're really the worst. We're always excited about everything. But the readers we're featuring tonight, we've been wanting to feature for a long time, and Austin and the Austin area is full of so many talented women, just like blossoming and popping up everywhere and growing and learning and coming out here. So it's just like we need to do this every week. It feels like.
Pretty much. So we're gonna start out with an ice cream regular, Katrina Goudey. Katrina Goudey likes rocks, cats, the moon, and old things. She's from California and lives under a rock in a cave, under a rock in a cave. MFA from Texas State, previously published in Fault Line. Favorite flavor of ice cream used to be something decadent, like Ben & Jerry's Half Baked, but now she wants some refreshing lemon sorbet. Katrina.
That's really true. Gosh, I've been here so many times, and the first time I get to see the stage from this perspective, you could all just not stare at me. That would be great. Totally know that feeling. I was going to read something new in the theme of Galentine's, because I was just totally inspired to write a sort of a sequel to this piece based off of the idea of love and love and love, that kind of stuff. But you're going to have to put up with the first version of this, the first edition. That did get published, that's my one and only. But check out. It's not science fiction, but I love that title, or that cover picture. Also, I'm a little bit sniffly, so I apologize in advance. This is, just a forewarning, this is based off of sort of anthropology journals, so there's going to be section headings. So it's going to look a little bit like paragraphs with section headings, so if I pause and say a title, that's what's happening. I'm just warning you because it's a little bit hard to visualize sometimes, so you have to sort of be like, okay, section, got it. So here's the title. Here's going to tell you everything about what's about to happen. Of Curing Children and Preventing Catastrophe. Selections from Emma Guestfield and Bradley Beechwood, Anthropological Medicinal Study, Special Collection, for bi-monthly publication subscribers, Volume 1. That's just strap in. Okay. Telling the babies. Of the practices associated with children, probably no practice is so widely held as that of telling the babies. And although it varies somewhat among peoples, it is invariably a very carefully arranged ceremony. If a member of the family collective marries, the babies in their holes must be told, or they will fly the hole and not return. If a member of the family collective dies, the babies in their holes must be told, or they will die. The procedure is that as soon as the master or mistress has breathed his or her last, a younger member of the house collective, often a child, is told to visit the holes and, rattling a chain of small keys, taps on the hole and whispers 3 times. Little babies, our mistress departs. Little babies, our mistress departs. Little babies, our mistress departs. In the East, this chant is typically preceded by, "We regret to inform you." Other regional variations exist, but the general sentiment remains. If the babies begin to cry and feel pain deep in their bellies, they have consented to life. Sweet drink or a piece of funeral cake is brought to the holes for the babies to feed upon. In most cases, the babies are invited to the internment. The letter to babies is written in the same hand and terms as that to relatives of the deceased. The invitations are always delivered as a brief note or telegram, or in person, and should go only to those really interested in the event. Dear blank, You are invited to the funeral of blank, which is to take place at blank, etc., etc. Will you stay after the regular service for the ceremony and then join us at home for lunch? Love, Norma. Heaving up. There are many corollary practices associated with the telling of the babies, one of the most important being the heaving up of the babies. On the evening of the funeral fire, as the party is preparing to leave, the baby and the coffin are both lifted or heaved at the same time, the second descending to depart as the first ascends to be welcomed. If the baby wriggles and pierces the cold air as if to say, "It is cold, put me back," then she is ready to enter our society. Clothe babies in small funeral attire. The armful of petticoats and the embroidered suit are lovely but a luxury. If you have a baby's funeral garb that has been handed down, use it by all means. To borrow a child's funeral attire with permission is neighborly. The heaving reminds us that we come from deep within the earth, that we come from deep within a hole in the earth, and there's no way to get out of there alone. A sense of community does not hinge on the child's state of attire just yet. If he needs a hat, make sure it is soft. There are some notable differences in this practice in the northern country. The holes are bigger, such that babies become very large before godparents retrieve them. At the threshold of each hole, there is a ladder on which to descend, and a great quantity of community wood, so that strangers may gather there. This is one of the only areas where one may smoke a pipe of tobacco in public. A smoker should never, however, talk with a pipe in his mouth. Godparents. Godparents should be chosen very carefully, as the association with the child is expected to be long and close. For example, it is important for prospective godparents to have spent time near the holes, perhaps in regular conversation with friends, with relaxed posture. Godparents should not be old, blue-eyed, or dependent upon a cane. A delightful red mustache has been known to please children the world over. The thin legs and tenor voice of an Irishman are non-threatening. In admiring their godparents, children may glimpse their first understandings of love. In the funeral service, the godparents promise to oversee the spiritual education of the child and see that he may enter society fully clothed. The godparents have the implied responsibility of bringing the small funeral clothes. Once asked to serve as a godparent, a friend, servant, or stranger is bound to accept. Those invited to the funeral bring gifts to the baby or babies, but the godparents always present the baby with something he can use and perhaps hand down to his own children. This gift is often meant to remind the child of his basic right to survive, tending to be an object associated with food, a silver porringer, a mug, or a fork, spoon, and a pusher set. Quote, "The pouch contained 4 silver forks, the handle of each fork engraved with the initial M, which could stand for either Grandma Matilda, or her daughter Matilda, or her granddaughter Matilda, or her other granddaughter Maxine, however unlikely." End quote. Tilly Abel, and there's this like a complex citation thing to me that's quoted from a different anthropological text. NNQ 3rd, 69 XI, yeah. Just think that it's complicated and fun, it's okay. Refreshments after the ceremony. Whiskey, plain or in a delicate punch, has replaced the traditional coddle cup at funerals. Keep a good cup that has the small protrusion within like a step on a stair, which protects mustaches. A good dry sherry is typical for an afternoon funeral, or in winter, a hot mulled wine is very welcome. The godfather proposes the first toast. His words are so soft that they lull all children into smiling. Funeral cake is made of leftover chocolate with dark icing. The cake is ordered by the family collective shortly before the funeral at minimum cost. For a price, they may add additional blank icing decorations, like flowers, and the deceased initials or name. In the case of a woman, the inscription reads, Iona Brimhall, no missus. Wife of John Andrew Brimhall, February 18, 1862. Single women's names are written in full. Iona Rebecca Davies. No miss. It has recently become tradition to add the word beloved somewhere on the cake. In some poorer countries, there is only enough icing to write the word beloved. If no cake is to be had, a funeral director can be instructed to bake a peach pie, costing considerably less than a cake. In suffering, life is still yet sweet. It should be kept in mind that this is in honor of the heaving, following a formal religious ceremony. It has a character quite different from that of a party, and should be kept on such a plane that even the most conservative baby could not object to the behavior and bearing of his elders. Quote, some of my earliest memories are that of tobacco smoke, the smell of wine on breath, and my own hunger in the midst of sad people eating cake. End quote. Henry Farmer, Tanner, age 40. Quote, the sky has water in it, and the earth has water in it, and that's why they get along so well. All water, and in fact all liquid, is a kind of union, divine or otherwise. Yes. I myself like to unionize with red wine. End quote. John Snow. Hey, that's now a reference to something. Widower, age 57. That's funny. Quote, it is true that they are either more cruel or more forgetful of their hatred when they are intoxicated. End quote. Ruby Arnold, age 7, from behind the couch where they keep the scotch. Bedtime. Every child should have a fixed hour at which to change into a sleeping cloth and lie in bed. Children have little sense of time, even when they can tell time. It is better to say, you have just time to put your dog away before bedtime, than to say, in 20 minutes, have this dog put away and be ready for bath. If you show relief that the child will soon be asleep, then you are in trouble. Children hate to give up. They will refuse to get out of your way. Gather for them some flowers and place these in their grip, over their chests, telling them, make sure you hold these, and they will be sure to regain their rest. Tell them that the sun will come up, and in the interim they shall miss nothing. Tell them that nothing will happen while they sleep. Quote, I used to ask for 1 cup of water, 1 cup of juice, and 1 cup of milk before I would consent to go to bed. I wanted to be reminded of all the world had to offer before it was gone. I actually used to do that. End quote. Emma Guestfield. Being deaf. If a child is shy and does not respond to a man or woman speaking, it is common that the man or woman will assume the child is deaf. The situation is made even more irretrievable when the man or woman begins using his or her hands to communicate. This embarrasses the child and makes her wonder what these strange people are even doing. Lacking a sense of self, the child may not even know that she is being spoken to at all. To them, their closest social equals are trees, the common fireplace, and other inanimate objects with which they may converse for hours. Quote, "My greatest sorrow was when I came to terms with being only one person." End quote. J.A. Werther. Using shrouds and the subject of sight. Children should be sheeted or draped during storms, and photographs of people they don't know should be turned to face the wall at all times. What they cannot see cannot hurt them. Similarly, children should be shrouded in the sick room or in the presence of death or dying. Do not tell them when someone is dying, even if they look and act as if they already know. It is ill-advised to look through or at a child at dusk or twilight, and infants should never be seen at any time of the day. Quote, "My great aunt used to say that if anyone looked too long at a child, they would see something they didn't want to see." Anonymous. Drowning, parentheses, your sister. A son typically attempts to drown his sister when in the presence of the rich. He may in fact ask a rich child for permission to drown his sister. The boy, gripping his sister's wrist and dipping her in and out of the deep water, entertains the rich while his sister struggles with all of the limbs at her disposal. Quote, "I did not understand the situation. I did not understand she was drowning." End quote. A child. Whales. Whales become unreachable when they are big enough. Only after spending years motionless at the bottom of the sea, thinking, do they choose at last to die. They are large indeed, the largest animal, and it is their very movement that is the cause of the waves of the ocean, as the water displaced by a whale's body and the undulation of the whale's tail is returned in the movement of the surface. When they rise in order to die, if they find a whaler isn't in sight, they will search for land. In beaching themselves, they finally find a way to breathe clear air. The sensation of the wind lapping their skin is incredible. To give a child whale flesh or to rub a whale's fat upon the child's body will confer a second sense of oceanic movements and will prevent drowning, shipwrecking, and unfortunate trips to the beach. Consider how often your child will be on the sea. Quote, "The whale knows you are alone." End quote. And thank you so much for having me.